Morning, how are you?
I am very well, Tracy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's quite warm here in the UK, so I'm getting ready for a couple of days of meltingness.
Oh, that's nothing compared to here.
So, what great things did we want to speak about today? I don't know whether
I-
you've got any requests or anything.
okay, so I think going back to the basics might be a good place to start because I feel there's always something new that we can learn, or, something perhaps we didn't know about a certain subject. So
Yeah.
I think starting with the Claires is a great place to start.
Okay, I agree. And when people come to my workshops, generally I find that it's best to assume that they don't know anything about them because so many people don't teach them. They just assume that people know it. And I still find out stuff about the Claires now where I'm just like, whoa. And I've been doing this professionally for like 15 years and I've been into it even longer. So I think that's a really great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So perhaps if we talk a little bit about our Claires,
I
we
was
can
going to say that. That's what I'm psychic.
funny that. We can give people an idea on how we work and the clairs that are most prominent
Yeah.
for us.
Okay. The thing I would say with that is that everybody's different. And
Mhm.
so if this doesn't resonate and isn't how people watching how theirs work, then that's fine because this helps push them in the right direction.
Yeah.
So Susie's is very different from mine. Mine's very different from hers. So this may not be how the watchers and the listeners Claire's work, but it's a good leveler.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to give a basic understanding.
Hmm.
And then we all work very differently. We all have different guides, different gifts, and different belief systems as
Absolutely. Yeah.
well. That comes into it as well. So by talking a little bit about how ours works, hopefully that'll give you an inkling on how you can work with yours and gain deeper trust in that gift. So do you
Absolutely.
want to start, Tracy, with your gifts?
Okay. So the first thing I would say about that is that you've got objective and subjective Clairs. So objective is outside of us and subjective is inside. So I'm very clairvoyant, which is clear seeing, but mine is subjective. So I see it in my third eye. And if I said to someone I know, think of a birthday party you went to, think of your mother, you either get a photo or a video in your head of that memory. And
Mhm.
that's what my clairvoyance is like. When I've worked with people like Pauline Mason, she will see objective. So she will say, I've got your grandmother stood there next to you. I
Mm.
don't really want that because that's a bit freaky. I'm a wuss. So I'm quite happy with subjective. So I'm very clairvoyant. So I see a lot of pictures, I see a lot of videos of the information that I'm giving to people. I'm also incredibly clairaudient, which is clear hearing. Now, again, you can hear it externally. So someone going, Oi, Tracy, and I'm sort of like that, and there's no one there, which is deeply frustrating. And I think the more I try and pick it up and hear it, the less I will hear because it's my logic, not my intuitive self.
Mm.
Um, and for me, and I didn't know this was a massive game changer when I found this out. My clairaudience is like a stream of consciousness that's going through my head.
Wow.
And it sort of sounds like Tracy, but it's not, what shall I have for dinner, Tracy? It's just that whoever I'm working with or whatever it is that I'm doing that's intuitive, I can just open my mouth and it's like blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, where did that come from? Okay. Which, when I was doing platform, which is when you get up and go around an audience, and for the Americans, I think they call that a gallery event. I found that really hard because Pauline Mason's going, oh, I've got my first link. And I'm like, hang on, oh shit. And as soon as I would open my mouth, it would be there. I was like, oh, but that was terrifying when I didn't realize that that's what was happening. And
Mm.
so it kind of just comes in like a knowing, which is another sense. I kind of know it, but I don't know where I know it from. And then I just get given the information clairaudiently. So that's a very subjective one for me. I do get smells, which is Claire olfactory, and I do get tastes, which is Claire gustance, but I don't get those a huge amount.
Mm-hmm.
And my clairs will move around depending on the reading. So I could read for you today and it might be predominantly clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow it might be very much clairaudience, and another day it might be 50-50. So
Yeah.
it's down to the energy of the person I'm working with and how their information needs to come to me. Um, Years ago, I was walking into town and it was absolutely blowing a hoolie and it was raining and it was miserable and there was nobody around. And I could smell this smell. And I'm like, and I just couldn't place it at all. And there was nobody close enough for me to be able to smell it. And then on the way back, the same thing happened. And I realized I'd taken a call from a client who wanted to book a reading. And as soon as I realized it was for her, it went. And when the client turned up, I said, "Would you understand Pond's moisturizer?" And she just burst into tears. And she said her mother, her sister, her daughter, who were all in spirit, all use Pond's. And I'm like,
Wow.
and that's the best Claire olfactory I've ever had. Normally, it's like the cigarette smoke, perfume, body products. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my guides don't like me. They give me all the smells that I hate, like Parma violets. And they can be the same with taste. It'll be like, oh, gooseberries or licorice. So that's quite funny. I don't think there's an objective one for taste.
Okay.
I think for me anyway, it's very much I taste it in my mouth. I
Yeah.
don't get an outside taste, but I don't think you can. So that's probably why. I get a lot of Claire knowing, which is kind of just knowing stuff and not having a clue how I know it.
Yeah.
And when I'm working with someone, I get the physical pain. So if somebody passed from a heart attack, I will feel the heart attack. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving Reiki and someone's got a bad back, I will feel the bad back. But I feel it on me. I don't just get told about it. Okay.
Yeah.
But as soon as I've given it, it goes away.
Yeah.
Um, I don't do it a great deal, but I do get Claireloquence, which I will hold my hands up, I've made up. Okay.
Okay.
Because if all of our human senses have got a psychic sense, then there has to be one for speech. Because people like Martin Luther King and any other great orator you can think about, they don't write their speeches, they just go with the inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we do an evening of clairvoyance in the churches in the UK, we have to do an address, and you're not allowed to plan it and you're not allowed to write it out. You just have to go with what spirit give you. So to me, Claireloquence is a definite thing, even though you probably won't find it in any other books. So sorry on that one, guys.
I think that's nice. I think, coming up with our own words and our own ideas and all of those things is fantastic. It's about what resonates for us,
Mm.
right? Which is really, really important. I feel that there's another name for clear speech, but I can't think what it is right now. Um,
I guess they probably just call it channeling. So
Yeah, maybe.
uh,
Maybe. So for me, clairsentience is my number one, which is clear feeling.
mm,
So when I connect into someone that I'm reading for or day-to-day life, I feel, and I feel very, very strongly
yeah.
about, what's going on, to the point where it can literally drain my energy. So I have to work very closely with my guides to make sure that when I felt something, it is taken away. I don't want to carry that. And my other is clairsentience. Now, sorry, Claircognizance. Claircognizance. And I really found this one quite difficult to understand
Yeah.
because I was doing readings and this information was just coming out of my mouth. And it's like, how could I possibly know that?
Mm,
Where's this stuff coming from? So it did take me a little while to understand that it is the clear knowing of stuff. And when I do readings that way, I don't often remember what has come up
mm.
in that reading.
I don't
Right.
remember most of my readings. It doesn't matter how it comes to me. It's like it just comes through me.
Mm.
You know, I've had people come up to me like within minutes of the reading if I'm at an event, and they go, "Oh, you just said this," and I'm like, "I don't know,"
Yeah.
because it's gone. It's not
Yeah.
like we're having a conversation now, and like in
Yeah.
a day's time, I could still tell you what we talked about. You know,
Yeah.
it's really,
Yeah, this is it. It just comes through you, and it's gone. And like you say, when clients come back and say, "Oh, you told me this," did I?
yeah,
I don't remember. So yeah, that was a really weird one because people were asking me, like at the beginning of my journey, well, how do you know that? How do you get that information? It's like, well, I don't know. It just I open my mouth and it comes out.
yeah, absolutely. Can I just say that I keep scratching my nose, and it's not because I pick my nose or anything. It is that when I've got a particular guide working with me, that
Hmm.
is how I know they're here. They make my nose itch, and it's like, right,
Yeah.
you couldn't give me an ear itch, thanks very much. You know, give me a nose. So I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that people know that that's applied. And you know, they have fun with us, and sometimes that they do things that I don't like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. What 100%. So I also have a little bit of clairvoyance as well. So when I'm in the Akashic records,
Yeah.
I can see things. So I see and feel in the Akashic records. That knowing is there, but it's more seeing and feeling, which is good. Every now and again, I get a smell.
Yeah.
So there's a few, but we work differently. Like our as we're going through our spiritual journey, we like upgrade
Yeah.
our tools. So my clairvoyance was perhaps my third, and that's coming in more and more now.
Yeah.
So because I'm working differently, I'm working with the Akashic records rather than tarot.
Yeah.
So, I need different things. The Clairsentience worked very well when I was doing Reiki,
Mm.
right? So that doesn't mean that, the two that you have most predominantly now are going to stay the two most predominant, because as you grow and expand, your gifts are going to grow and expand with you.
And I think it depends, like you say, what work we're doing, because as we're talking, I'm realizing that actually I have all of those,
Yeah.
but it's like the equalizer on your music center. You've got to balance it. And
Hmm.
so if I'm doing Reiki or mediumship, then I feel a
Yeah.
lot. If I'm doing a reading, then it's more clairvoyant and clairaudience. But sometimes they'll bring me a very unique smell, and I'll go, "Oh, I've got engine oil or Swarfiga or something," which was a UK product that people put on their hands if they've been working on the engine of their car
Yeah.
or whatever. And they go, "Oh my God, that's my granddad," because it's such a unique smell.
Mm.
And they will use our memory banks of smells. So for me, I remember the summers, they would paint the fences with creosote.
Hmm.
So I always connect in my head my dad mowing the lawn and the neighbor painting the fence with creosote. So creosote and cut grass. And I'll give that to someone in a message, and they'll be in floods of tears because that's got a huge
Hmm.
emotional content for them. And so, if we're doing a house clearance, for instance, if there's a problem spirit or there's an energy issue, we're going to use the different senses
Yeah.
than if we're doing a reading. And it was interesting you saying about the claircognizance, because a lot of people come to me because they've had precognitive dreams, or
Hmm.
they get told something that's going to happen in the future. Like loads of people knew that the Twin Towers were going to come down before it happened. But
Yeah.
what are you meant to do with it? You can't ring up the police and go, "Oh, yeah, I've just had this dream that the towers are going to come down." They would just laugh you out of
Mm.
the building or whatever, or off the phone. But it's like when there's something major going to happen, like that tsunami in Thailand 20 years ago, or whatever it was. It sends out this massive energy that the intuitives pick up on, even those that aren't necessarily fully awake. And I often find that they're sent to me to get answers and get told to go and develop their senses. And then it dials down. It's like spirit want to crank it up to get the attention of the person,
Yeah.
um, and then go and get them to do something with it. And so, like you say, those clairs can change depending on the situation, depending on your journey, depending on what work you're doing spiritually. So there isn't a hard and fast set level. But I don't know about you. I tell my students to go and work on their weakest
Yeah.
Claire, and not just rely on the strongest one.
Absolutely. I think it's important to try and work on as many as we can, like in our day-to-day lives, not necessarily in a working environment, but just being present in ourselves and in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah,
Because there are so many different ways in which spirit can catch our attention,
yeah,
right? To help us.
yeah,
Spirit is there to help us. Our guides are there to help us to move forwards, to, create whatever it is we want to create. And having that awareness. Now, since the earthquake 2 weeks after I moved here, I'm incredibly sensitive to the earth, right? And when the dog moves the sofa, when he's scratching and the sofa moves, right, I am ready. I am braced for the next earthquake. It's awful. But I can feel more of that energy of Mother Earth coming up. So I will get a dream or feel very uneasy in my body if I know that an earthquake is coming.
yeah. And so
Right.
do animals, funny enough. Animals will know long before us humans know it's coming or feel it on the Richter scale.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we had a little Jack Russell that we brought with us, and we had this, I'm going to call it a portico. Like literally, it was a few beams with some mesh over the front of the house. And we'd gone out, we just left her roaming the house, and she had jumped out of the window. Now, she's never, ever done anything like that before, and she was stuck in this net when we got home. Hopefully, she wasn't there for too long. And she was trembling, and it's like, what on earth?
Mm,
Within 12 hours, a 7.2 earthquake.
wow.
And it's like, oh my God,
Mm.
the animals are just so sensitive to it. But since then, like, my earthquake spike has definitely gone up.
I'm not surprised. That's just I can't think of the word. It's like you're just waiting for the next one. That's like a deep awareness. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I find that most people, whether they are what I class as awake or not, and awake to me is if you're interested in crystals, you're awake. If
Yeah.
you're watching this, you're awake. If you're remotely interested in the meaning of life, you are awake. Those that are not awake are completely switched off to everything.
Hmm.
But even they will walk into a property and go, oh, this feels really lovely, or oh, I don't like it near. But they won't
Yeah.
ascribe that to any Claire or even it being psychic. They will just put it down to, the feel of the house,
Yeah.
you know. And the same with um, people, it's like, oh, I really like that person, but I don't know why, or oh, they just make my skin crawl and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And it's the same as we say, oh, someone like Tony Robbins has got great charisma, but actually you're picking up on his aura.
Mm.
But a lot of people won't see it as that. So all these sayings are in our everyday language and we
Mm.
don't realize it. We just say it. And for those people that don't know about NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, that's broken down into the words that we use, like, I see what you mean. So that's
Hmm.
the visual. So the Claire,
Yeah.
I hear you. That's your Clairaudience.
Mm.
I really feel your pain. So
Yeah.
all of that is in our language and they've got different names which I won't bore people with, but those can actually help you understand what clairs you've got going on or what clairs someone else has got going on.
Mm.
And so I've noticed that in my readings I will say, oh, you know what, I feel that this person is this, or I feel that this situation is that, or I can see this happening, or oh, I'm being told da 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 da. And
Yeah.
so if you look to your language, you can probably work out what clairs you are using on the strongest basis.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I find that, through my readings, it's I feel.
Yeah,
I feel. And then in my day to day, talking to my partner or friends, it will be, I feel.
yeah, yeah. It does come out. Like, you can't help it.
Yeah.
Once you're
Yeah.
aware of it, then it's kind of it comes front and center and it makes it easier. Same with anything. When you're aware of what you're doing or what
Yeah.
you're saying, then you can work with it. So what tips would you give anyone coming to you that wants to know more about their clairs or wants to understand how their clairs work?
So I feel a lot of this spiritual awakening awareness is very much about paying attention and being in the present moment and just see what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're knowing is going on. So perhaps just sitting in stillness for 2 minutes and just paying attention to what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, and which one came through first,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And then what one came through second. And it would take a little bit of practice, but being present and being in stillness is the key to so many different things,
Yeah.
right? And we don't have to be in meditation stillness for hours a day.
No.
Just 2 minutes a day can make a difference, and building it up from there, taking that time to be present with yourself, with your body, with spirit, however you want to work. So for me, I would suggest that my clients literally just be
Mm.
for a couple of minutes and just pay attention to the body and what is coming up, or their senses and
Yeah.
what is coming up, if they're feeling, if they're thinking, if they're seeing
Mm.
different things. So I would start with those three, or if they're just knowing something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a hard one, because when I'm doing my development program and my workshops, I generally find people's expectation is here and the reality is here.
Yeah.
So they're looking for something massively profound,
Yeah.
but it might just be a gentle whisper of clairaudience. It might just be a flash of an emotion.
Mm.
But they're so busy looking for this big thing that it's easy to miss it. And we did spirit guides a couple of weeks ago, and I could just tell what was going to happen, because it always happens. Um, but it was so fantastic watching these people realize they didn't need to look for this, they needed to look for this. And they're like, oh yeah, but I always get that. And I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah.
you know you always got that, and now you do.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow. So like with me, where I get the itchy nose when a guide comes in, anyone else might go, oh, I've got an itchy nose, and I'm, what's happening? But when you realize that that happens every time you
Yeah.
sit with that guide, you realize that's them going, I'm here. It would be great if we could just set the ringtone like we do on our phone and go, oh, it's my guide, Fred. And that would make my life a lot easier. I don't know about you. But that's not how it is. It could be a tingly feeling, or it could be a cobweb sensation on the face.
Hmm.
With mediumship, it can be very subtle and it can be physical. Like I might start twiddling with the ring that I don't normally twiddle, and I'm like, oh,
Mm.
your granny's here and she's twiddling her ring. Or, oh, I feel like I'm slumped to one side. Oh, yeah, my grandmother had a stroke before she passed and she was paralyzed on one side. So it's, and again, if you're not having that awareness, like you say, where you're not just sat and taking your awareness to you and your surroundings, it's very easy to miss that. And so you could go and sit in a stately home and just sit and see what comes to you. Like one of my girls in my development group, she's just been to York, and she had
Mm.
an absolute ball going into old places or sitting in the gardens and just letting it wash over her. And she saw things, she felt things, she knew things. And, we've only done 3 sessions so far. So it's not like we've been doing this for years with her. Um,
Yeah.
and so, like you say, if you can just sit there and be aware, even if you're in the office, you might pick up the grief of the person 2 desks away who's just had a bereavement, or you might pick up the fear of the apprentice that's just started and they're going, oh my God, I can't do this. So I think, that you can do that anywhere. If you
Hmm.
do it on a bus or outside a cafe, you definitely can't go up and tap that person on the shoulder and go, I'm picking up grief from you. Is that okay? Can you just tell me if I got that right? That
Yeah. No Long Island medium.
no, it is not good etiquette to do that. You should not do what they call a drive-by reading. But if it's someone that you do know, you could go up to them and go, is everything okay? And they
Mm.
go, well, yeah, I'm a bit sad because my grandmother's died. Or it might be like, no, I'm fine. And you know damn well they're not.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you can get that validation
For
from
sure.
someone.
For sure. And I think, pay attention to how your body feels when you go in and you meet people. So one person at a time, and then a room full of people, because that's going to give you information. Like many times I've walked into a room and thought, oh, I don't want to be here. Right? Because there's an energy that I felt like, I feel like my stomach is sinking.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. So I will stay on the peripheral rather than be in the middle of things. But just by paying attention to how you feel when you go and meet your mother, or you go and meet your best friend, or you go and meet your arch enemy, or whoever it may be,
Yeah.
pay attention, right? To it may be a feeling, it may be a knowing, it may be a vision that you
Mm.
know that this person is either great for you, not great for you. Be aware. I mean, I get a lot of be aware
Yeah.
ones, not stay away from that person, they're XYZ. It's like just be aware of
Yeah.
that person.
But
Right.
it's interesting because when you were talking a second ago about being in that room, you went, oh, my stomach plummeted. Well,
Yeah.
that's the seat of the solar plexus.
Mm.
And so people don't always recognize that physicality.
Mm.
Do you suddenly feel like you want to back off, or do you feel drawn in? Do you
Yeah.
feel that in the stomach going, oh my God, something's not right?
Yeah.
Do you get that hair on the back of your neck going up?
Yeah.
Or do you feel really warm and safe? And so, and you're not going to get all of this in a 2-minute let me be present session. It is
Yeah.
going to take 2 minutes every day or multiple times through the day, and just
Yeah.
note down what you get. And because it changes, you may not get the stomach plummet every time.
Yeah.
When it does, take note.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so it's interesting, again, the things we use in our language about yellow belly, because that's the solar plexus and it's yellow, or
Mm.
the deep swallow that you get from something that scares you because you can't voice what you want to, or um, when we get a shock, we quite often put our hands to the heart chakra, because the
Yeah.
heart chakra is connected to the vagus nerve. And when you put your hand on your heart, that re regulates that and calms you down. So there's
Mm.
all these things that we do instinctively and that we feel, but we just don't register because we're
Mm.
just so busy the whole time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, when I started my spiritual journey, I was waiting for this big thing,
Yeah, me
right?
too.
For people to start talking to me.
I'm
And
still waiting.
yeah, and being able to hear it, and I'd know, and everything's been very, very subtle.
Yes.
Everything is subtle, and that's about making us aware. It's about us paying attention and being present. If you're caught up in a job that you don't like and relationships that aren't serving you and all of those, you're not going to see and hear all these messages that are there for you, right? So it is very much about being present, and it's very much about very subtle energy changes. I know when I first met my guardian angel, I could feel a change in the air. Like when she stepped in, I could feel the air temperature
Yes.
change. But now my guys just make me really, really hot.
Yeah, it depends on which guide I'm working with, because sometimes they make me red hot, but my hands and feet are cold. And other times they make me really cold and my hands and feet are hot. So it really does
Yeah,
depend on who I'm working with.
yeah.
But with that subtlety, I am a massive fan of journaling about those things that we experience. So sit for 2 minutes and then preferably write down what you felt, even if you think your imagination is running away with
Mm.
you, because the imagination and the clairvoyance are a fag paper away. So
Yeah.
let it run wild. Um, Writing down is more visceral than just doing a voice note on your phone, or writing it on your phone. But if it comes to it and you've got to do a voice note and put it in your journal when you get home, then fine. And
Yeah.
sometimes if I'm meditating for a particular reason, I will put my voice note on, or Zoom or something, and I will just channel it as it comes through,
Mm.
because I don't want to get into my logical brain and try and remember it or do anything with it. I just want that stream of consciousness. And then I will listen back to the recording and write down what I got. Like, oh, I felt cobwebs on my face and I felt bigger and taller and da da da. So there's lots and lots of different ways. But I'm a massive fan of journaling. I don't know how many of my students actually do it, but I always tell them to journal. And I believe you've got a journal if people want it.
Yes, I've got a few journals that are available because I love creating things like this. So I've got some moon journals which you can find on Amazon. So I'll drop the link at the bottom of this to go and look for my journals. And I'm creating a new journal at the moment that will go with my Akashic Soul Alchemy deck. So that's something you can join the waitlist for to find out when I am releasing that and to get some sign up goodies as well.
Oh, that sounds really exciting. And I do have a journal guide. So if people want to understand more about journaling, then they're welcome to email me and I can email that back to them. And your group, you kind of cover stuff like this in your Facebook group, don't you?
I do, yeah, absolutely. I go in there and do some readings, activations, all different kinds of things we talk about in there, from the moon to the Akashic records to Oracle to Tarot to crystals. We love it all.
We do, but it's hard not to love it, to be brutally honest. Um, I have got a free Facebook group. Mine is more about people moving along their development journals, their development journey. So our groups offer quite different things, but they actually offer the same thing because they're both about helping you on your spiritual journey.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
and I don't know about you. I mean, obviously, we grew up without the internet and we didn't have access to all of the stuff that we've got now.
Mm.
What I would say is there's so much noise out there and they're not necessarily right either.
Mm-hmm.
So I would advise people to really trust their intuition. And if they're looking at somebody on YouTube and it doesn't feel right or they're not drawn to them, then don't don't work with them. And that includes us. If you're not drawn to us, don't work with us.
Yeah,
Um, but I would also find that voice that resonates for you, that feels very right. And I'm not saying take them as gospel because I'm the first person to say to my students, I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I'm on my journey. I'm just further ahead than you might be, you as in people watching. Um, but at the end of the day, we have to find that right path.
yeah,
And so you can easily have too much noise on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and it can actually get confusing because you'll hear conflicting information.
yeah,
Personally, I will follow somebody and then I will stop resonating with them and I will move on to the next person. And that's fine because I think, like the saying, people come into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. There are people that I've been massively into, and then I've gone, right, I don't resonate with you anymore. I need to go find someone else to continue the journey. So it is very much about going where you're guided and where you can get the knowledge that is right for you at this moment in time.
yeah, 100% agree. You know, we're all on a journey. We're all here to learn, to grow, to experience. And whoever it is that you're following, they're going to grow and expand, and they might go off in a slightly different direction or not quite resonate with you anymore. And that's absolutely fine,
Yeah.
right? That's perfect as long as you're following that intuition and you know when that ending has come and you don't just continue following for the sake of following and things start feeling out of alignment. We don't want you to be in that space.
No. And what I would say is that you can use multiple sources for the same information. But
Hmm.
if you get a conflict, if you get like this person says this, but this person says different or the opposite or whatever, trust your intuition.
Hmm.
And if need be, go and find a different source that can confirm how you feel. Like, for instance, I've come across people who say that should someone take their own life, they'll go to hell. I have never, ever, ever been given that in a reading when someone has come through who has taken their own life. there has never been anything that I've come across in my work that leads me to believe that. So I just cannot accept that as
Hmm.
being my truth, because I just don't have any experience to back that up. They
Mm.
may well have done, and fair play. That's, I'm not saying that they're wrong, but it just doesn't sit for me. So I can't work with that.
100%. I mean, we all have our own beliefs. We all have our own system of discovering our truth, right? And intuition is going to have a massive part in that. So when you're listening to someone, pay attention to your body. How does that feel
Yeah.
for you, right? Our feelings are absolutely key to everything. So if something feels out of alignment or doesn't feel true for you, then trust that, right? That's the best that you can do is trusting that intuition, trusting that feeling about what
Mm.
it is that you're listening to or watching or whatever it may be. So yeah, feelings are very important.
They are. And I think that, sometimes we're just not ready for it. Like when I was a kid, I would read about UFOs and aliens and didn't bat an eyelid. But as I got older, there was a lot of stuff that I just couldn't resonate with. And
Mm,
I'm kind of closer to understanding and believing aliens and UFO, but not in the body snatchers kind of way. Um, I just think that we're a little bit egotistical if we think that humans are the only thing in the whole of the universe.
yeah,
And so sometimes we've got to go on that journey. Otherwise, you're not going to understand algebra if you haven't done one and one is two. And you progress through that journey, and then you get to algebra, and you go,
yeah,
oh, okay, I sort of get it, but it's not really for me. I'm not bothered about algebra. I don't need it. I'm going over there. And so
yeah.
sometimes it's just down to the journey and where you are on your journey. It's not that it's wrong,
Mm.
it's just you're not ready for it.
Yeah, 100%. Like we all have different journeys, right? We're never going to follow someone to the T because that wouldn't be our journey,
No.
right? We need bits and pieces from different sources in order to help us to grow, right?
Mm,
We touched on this last week. We've signed up for certain things in this lifetime. So we've signed up to learn stuff, we've signed up to grow, to expand, and there will be people that can help us to do that. And that doesn't just mean that's one person.
yeah.
We need to experiment, we need to be curious,
Yeah.
and we need to do different things in order to find out what really does resonate with us.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. So
Awesome.
I was just going to say, we'll drop the links for our groups in the notes, and we'll put all the stuff we've talked about in the notes, the important headlines and stuff. We'd love questions from you. We would love to know things that you would like us to talk about. We've got tons, don't worry. So if you've got suggestions, we're not likely to run out anytime soon. And hopefully next week we'll have something else that is interesting and fun and will help you on your journey. And if you're not ready for it at that point, then save it and come back to it when you are, because you never know where you are in your journey and when you might need it.
100%. What an interesting subject today.
Yeah, it's been really good. I think that so many people are going to view their clairs so differently
Mm,
because of that thing about expectation versus reality. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what people come back to us with. I had loads of interesting comments after last week's show, so I'm looking forward to seeing this
fantastic.
week. So
Yeah, 100%. I think, having that realization that there's nothing big going to happen, it's going to be life altering, but it's going to be small.
yeah, absolutely. But small is sometimes more impactful than big.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the way that the spiritual journey has been packaged,
But
it's like, these massive things are going to happen. So the expectation is, oh, people are going to start talking in my ear, or I'm going to have this movie screen in front of my eyes, and it's going to be outside of myself.
yeah.
Um, so I think, there is a lot of expectation on what this journey is, but certainly for us, I think it's very subtle and it's
Mm.
very, very much about taking that time to notice.
Yeah, And if you get massive, profound, that's brilliant, lucky you. But my understanding from all the people I've worked with over the years is that most of the time it's the small things, not the big things.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Awesome.
thanks for watching, everybody. We've loved every minute of this. It doesn't feel like work at all, really, does
It
it?
doesn't, does it? It's great.
And we'll be back with you next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye.